Hey guys. Well, I have been promising you guys for a while now to check out some books that I've been unpacking from my Aramaic collection. These are kind of like the foundational works of what set me along my journey in learning the Aramaic language and all the different forms that I've been able to experience it with. So I have not one, but I have another one down. I have two boxes of books for you guys to go over. We might turn this into a two-parter, box one and box two. We'll see how it goes. But in any case, welcome to the new studio. I know that there are a bunch of you out there who are probably relieved that all of the movie posters are gone, but don't worry, that they're just behind me over here where you can't see them. They're still there. The neat thing about this particular studio too is that not only do we have a nice space where we can kind of chat face to face, but if I flip this little switch over here, we have a bird's eye view that we can take advantage of. So I have a camera up there and I have a camera right over there in front. So let's check out some of these books. Book number one, The Five Gospels. This is the book that came out of the first Jesus seminar. Robert Funk and Roy Hoover were the editors. I think they did translation and commentary, and of course the rest of the fellows of the Jesus seminar itself. If you are not familiar with what the Jesus Seminar is, it was a group of scholars who came together to try and discern by some consensus, and the consensus mechanism they used was kind of cool, what they believed were the genuine words of Christ in the Bible. So what they did was that they ended up looking over all of the Gospels, and it's called the Five Gospels because here it is. So it was the five Gospels plus the Gospel of Thomas, which is the Sayings Gospel, and this is how they believed that things were built based upon the different Gospel traditions and things like that. And what they did was that they went and they color coded all the different places where Christ spoke, and they would vote based upon their understanding of the historical critical evidence, things that they believed that Christ certainly said. Let's see if I can find one here. There's not a lot of those in here, I'm afraid. Well, here is their little example bit over here. I'll pull it up over here. Things that they believed that Christ certainly said, they coded in red. Things that they thought were likely that he would have said, they coded in pink. Things that they thought were unlikely, they coded in gray. And things that they thought that Christ did not historically say at all, they coded in black. And it was based, like I said, upon a vote. They would vote using different sets of beads to do it, like they would do in ancient Greece for various things. And once again, this is not from a faith-based perspective, but from an historical critical perspective, based upon if we were to treat these texts as any other historical document, what was most likely? What could have been embellished potentially? Stuff like that. And this got me thinking, as I was studying under Mahlon Smith at the time at Rutgers University. What were the original words of Jesus? I mean, they would obviously have to not have been in Greek, because this was based on the Greek text, and of course the Gospel of Thomas is in Coptic. But this started kind of like the first seeds in my brain about, well, what was the historical language of Christ himself? That's where that started. Put this guy back. Now, similarly, for the same class, I got a copy of John Dominic Crossan's The Historical Jesus. Went over his perspective on what was historical and what was, in his perspective, fiction about the gospel accounts. This really made me ask a lot of questions, and in college, that's what you do. I was like every good young Episcopalian. I go off to college, I ask a lot of crazy questions. Things go weird, and then I eventually come back. But once again, this started me thinking with a critical mind. Well, what was his language like? What else do we have here? We also have the big old JPS Hebrew-English Tanakh, which is just the Hebrew Bible. As you can see, there's the original, the Hebrew on one side, the English on the other. This is just a great reference text that I had. Fully vocalized the Masoretic tradition. Everybody should have a big Hebrew Bible. And here's just another. I found this at it was at a Bryn Mawr Book Club book sale. It was a destroyed copy of Liber Genesis, which is once again, it is Genesis in Hebrew. And then before I jumped into Aramaic studies, I also got a copy of the Gospel of Thomas. This is Marvin Meyer's translation. And of course, this one is also fun because it has because the Gospel of Thomas, it's a sayings gospel. If you're not familiar with the Gospel of Thomas, it's a sayings gospel that has a lot of overlap with the so-called Q sayings in the canonical Gospels. And the extant copy we have is in Coptic, which is the last scion of the Egyptian language, and it's written using a modified Greek alphabet. So it was really kind of neat to see the actual language on one side, once again with the English translation on the other. I could never quite wrap my brain around how Coptic worked, but it was just it intrigued me, and it was a neat publication. I love the ragged edge binding on this thing, and I read it to death. But now we start getting into some of my books that I have that really do get into Aramaic dialectology. And although these are not particularly in any kind of chronological order as to how they ended up into my collection, but I try to give them some kind of a logical order so I can explain things to you guys. This is Klaus Beyer's, and I'm going to butcher this because I don't speak German, the aramäischen Texte vom Toten Meer. It is one of the seminal works on Aramaic dialectology, where Beyer went over everything that, at the time that he published this, all of the entire corpus of the Aramaic language family. And he tried to essentially categorize all of these different dialects down into something that would be useful for categorization. Eastern versus Western dialects, Old, Middle, Neo-Aramaic dialects. But what he did too is that he also had some, where is it? It is the ones that were of interest to me were the Galilean Targumic texts, Western Aramaic texts, Hasmonean texts, and of course, over here we have the Jewish Palestinian texts and dialects. And in here we have a whole bunch of different primary texts. What can I see? Let's see. Let's check out the different Western Aramaic texts that are in here. For example, Jewish Palestinian texts start on page 204. So here they are. I just went by 204. And these are actual inscriptions, many of which were contemporary to Christ himself. These are found on ossuaries and other things like that. He tried to explain how the different dialects were compared to each other. Ossuaries over here. And other neat things like that. Different vocabulary, different grammar, different ways that these would have been understood between other different dialects. So that's this one over here, Klaus Beyer. Then I wanted to have some more primary text and things like that, so I found a copy of Aramaic Papyri by, I don't want to mash that name, it was Belleli. And this, here we go, Examination Papyri. Papyri, sorry, Papyri. I'm doing good. It's late over here. This is an old book. When was this one? This was 1909, actually. If you can, I'm not sure that you can see it of the camera over here. Actually, let's see if I can hold it up over here, so you guys might be able to get a better look at it. But you get an angle of the light that's over here. You can see that it is. There we go. It's letterpress. It's a beautiful, beautiful old letterpress book. And of course, this one has a lot of primary texts in it. Where we go? Find some. Here they are. Here's some examples of them. Some primary text, just so you can see it. It also has a bunch of beautiful plates that are in here of various things. So, for example, here is Sasha's Papyrus 1, mentioning a destroyed temple of Yehu in Elephantine. And this is in Imperial Aramaic script. You really can't get any closer to some of these things than like actual plates and scans of these manuscripts. So for me, these were just beautiful things to see. And they also have the transcriptions. So if there's any ambiguity in the transcription, you can actually check the plate and get a closer look at it. So that is the Aramaic Papyri over here. But then at that point in time, after I was starting to pick these things up, I really wanted to learn more about the Aramaic language itself, and you have to start somewhere. And for me, how I started to learn about Aramaic directly was learning Syriac, classical Syriac. And of course, everybody who starts learning classical Syriac for this starts out with a copy of Murdock, the New Testament translated from the Syriac Peshito version, which is the Western Syriac tradition. Oh man. And this particular copy, how I started to learn Aramaic was that I worked with computer science stuff and information technology and informatics over at Rutgers. And I met a man by the name of George Kiraz. He's a local Syriac scholar. He currently works at Princeton. He does stuff at Princeton University and at Rutgers to this day. And I basically traded IT favors. I worked on a project of his called Ebeth-Arke, the Digital Syriac Library, the first edition of that. And I presented it with him at the first, I forget which, was it the first, it wasn't the first Syriac symposium, but some other symposium. Oh man, I'm messing this up in my brain. But he had asked me, hey, this is from his publishing house. This is Gorgias Press. So when he was done, he gave this to me as some nice. He said, "What do you want?" And I said, "Hey, I would love to have a copy of Murdock. I've been trying to save up money for a copy of your interlinear Gospels. I'll get to that in just a little bit. But he inscribed it. Let's see if I can remember the Syriac inscription over here. So that's a gift to a gift to young, intelligent, discerning Stephen Caruso. There's my name in Syriac right there in his own hand. So that's Stephanos Caruso right there. From Georgi Kiraz. And yeah, that's 9/17, so 1, 2, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September 17th, 2002. This was his gift to me. And it's the Murdock translation of the Syriac Bible, the Peshito. The Peshito, so in Syriac, there's two main branches of that language. You have the Eastern Syriac Peshita and the Western Syriac Peshito, because there are differences in pronunciation, mostly vowels, between the two dialects. And Murdock's is one of the most accessible translations. It's out there. It's freely available on the internet. It has some great notes in it, and Gorgias Press printed a reprint of the original a copy of this, and it has all the notes and stuff in it there. So this is one of my treasured possessions. And but then George didn't stop with that, because what I pointed out to him. He did this, George Kiraz did this amazing project earlier on in his career where he's into computer science and computational linguistics. And he wanted to have a better understanding of his tradition's holy text, which is the Syriac Peshito. It's like the King James Bible of Syriac. And the thing is that it exists in several forms. You have the Peshito, and then you have several earlier manuscripts, what are called the Old Syriac Gospels. You have the Sinaitic Palimpsest and the Curatonian, and these are, and they're not in Old Syriac, the dialect. Oh, let me zoom in a little bit here. They're not in Old Syriac, the dialect of Old Syriac, like that text. That's an earlier language. They're an early classical Syriac, and they have some textual differences with the Peshito. And then there was a later translation into Syriac from the Greek called the Harklian, and that is a very, very regimented, stilted translation. But what George did was that, if I can get these out, this is a massive set of volumes. He took the 4 Gospels, and let me swap it back up over here, and he basically made a comparative edition between all 4 of them. They're in reverse order based upon, because it's in Syriac. So let's start out with Matthew here so you can see it. So here's an example. I'll bring these over here so I can prop it up like this. Here are all 4 of the traditions, and they are all laid out, and when there are textual variants, they've been aligned so that you can actually better understand the textual variants, which was a huge tool for the time. So for example, over here we can see that the Harklian has some words that the Peshito doesn't have. Let's see if we can make this a little bit bigger so you can see. And over here we have the Old Syriac. The S and the C are Sinaiticus and Kiratonian. They have some words that the Peshito does not have, and nor does the Harklian have. And so there's a number of sigla in here that show how you can align these different Gospels together. And here's the inscription on this one. This is the next year. It says over here simply, to Steve with my compliments, and Georgi. And that was 7th month, so that's January, February, March, April, May, June. This was July 16th, 2003. So at the very beginning, I pointed out I was saving up for these, and when we were done with Ebetharke, he surprised me with these as a gift. And I remember the smile on his face when he saw the smile on my face. It's one of my very, very fond memory during my Aramaic journey. So that is box. Oops, I bumped the thing again, didn't I? Of course I did. I bumped it how many times so far? So that's box 1. I think this video is getting a little bit long, so I'm going to pinch it off for now. We'll be back soon with box 2. See you in a little bit, guys.